What's good, everybody? I am the coach, and if you watched PFL 4 last week, you're still counting your money. My guy, Ian Parker, he cashed all over the place. 3 straight props and a 3-way parlay, but today we spin it forward. Light heavyweights, welterweights with the playoffs on the horizon. We've got best bets, parlays, and even an underdog. Let's get it started. The DraftKings pre-fight show starts right now.
Live from Atlantic City, the push to the PFL playoffs is set to continue shortly at the beautiful Ocean Casino Resort. It's the welterweights led by one of the best in the world, the Red King, Rory McDonald, and the Hawaiian knockout artist, Ray Cooper III, always must see when he stomps into the smart cage. Plus the light heavyweights, featuring one of the most exciting strikers in all of mixed martial arts. 2019 champion out of Argentina, Emiliano Sordi. Welcome to the PFL pre-fight show presented by DraftKings. Here is a look at how the night will begin. 6 great fights on ESPN+. Starting at 5:30 Eastern, we will see the return of the 2018 welterweight champion Magomed Karamov as he takes on Curtis Millender. Antonio Carlos Jr., Vinny Magalhães in a featured bout. And you look at those odds, that returning champ, Maga Millions, he is the heaviest favorite on the card tonight. More on that in just a second. The card moves on to ESPN2 beginning at 9 Eastern. 4 huge fights that will determine the final spots in the welterweight and light heavyweight playoffs. The main event features Rory McDonald and a longtime veteran, Gleison Tibau, and you can see that the Red King is a heavy favorite, as is Emiliano Sordi and Cesar Ferreira. Welcome in, fight fans. Sean O'Connell, joined by Randy Couture and Kenny Florian, and we're going to get out to our betting experts, Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker, in just a second. But first, this is the final regular season fight for these contenders, and only the top 4 will make the playoffs in each division. Randy, we saw last week, when it's win or go home, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw this particularly with Luik Radzhabov. He lost his first season fight, no points going into his second fight, had to score a finish. He did it in stellar fashion against Ali Aliyev, and now he's secured his spot in the finals. So when we say every single fight counts, we absolutely mean it in the PFL format.
And Kenny, these divisions in particular, welterweight and light heavyweight, full of finishers. So 6 points, don't be surprised if it happens.
That's right. You know, the fighters made us look very good last time because we all kept warning them. These are finishers. These are guys that love to go out there and look for the knockout, look for the submission, and that's exactly what they did the first time around with the welterweights and the light heavyweights. They had 4 finishes in the first round and another in the second round.
As I said, only the top 4 fighters with the most points in each division get into the playoffs. Here's a look at the current standings at light heavyweight. Cesar Ferreira, Antonio Carlos Jr., first round finishes for both of them in their regular season debuts. That's good for 6 points. Martin Hamlet with 5 after a second round submission victory. Emiliano Sordi and Jordan Young each carrying 3 points into the playoffs. And at 170 pounds, Rory McDonald, the Red King, first round finish, 6 points for him. Ray Cooper III, the returning champion, also had a first round finish, but he missed weight yesterday, which takes a point away in the standings. And now he's got a tough situation making it into the playoffs because tonight's fight actually counts in the standings as a walkover loss. He can't earn any more points. Let's talk about the main event. There's a tale of the tape for you. 8-inch reach advantage for Rory, the Red King McDonald. He's also 4 inches taller than Gleison Tibau. And Randy, Rory's debut in the PFL was massively successful. How do you follow that up tonight?
I don't know. He's faced a lot of adversity. He had to leave Canada, move his whole family to Florida to get a full camp in and be prepared for his PFL debut. He did an amazing job in that fight. I'm not sure you top that one, but he's not a guy that's going to coast. I've been impressed with him. He had his first professional fight at 16 years old. I sat next to him in his very first big presser and literally enjoyed the journey that he has had through this sport. and he is on point and ready to go tonight.
And he's facing that man right there, Gleison Tebow, a grappler who has been there and done that in the mixed martial arts world. He has a ton of experience. He's big, he's strong. I think he's in the right weight class now. He used to cut a tremendous amount of weight to make it down to 155 pounds. He's still going to be able to carry that strength and that energy. And he said, listen, I got to go out there and make it a street fight here against Rory McDonald. I think that's his best bet against someone like a Rory McDonald.
Rory McDonald has 6 points heading into that main event tonight. Gleison Tebow, 0. If he wants to make the playoffs, he will need a finish. And with that, time to bring in our betting experts, Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker. And the Duck right now is the hottest handicapper in all of MMA, hands down. He did it again last week, Coach.
Yeah, Sean, it's great to be back with you. Now, before we spin it forward, we would have to look back. Now, I'm a nice guy, and I give everybody a pass for the first round. PFL 1 through 3 not betting with us. I get it. But I do not feel sorry for you if you did not bet with us last week, PFL 4. Let's show everybody exactly what Ian Parker was able to do. How about 2 straight bets? How about a prop bet? How about OAM at plus 325 and a 3-way parlay? Those are all check marks. Ian, it had to feel pretty good.
It felt great. We called it. It happened, and we're going to do it again this week. Let's get it done.
You're damn right we are. We educate and we entertain. And right now, Rory McDonald, all week he's been around a minus 1,000. Ian, we know we can't play that number, but what do we do?
We are going to shrink that down, and we're going to go into our props area. We are going to take Rory McDonald by decision. Now, I know everyone wants to see a finish. We want to see Rory get the 6 points, but he's got to also think about his health here. And he's fighting someone in Tebow who is excellent on the ground, who's going to try and make this a brawl. I see Rory using his reach advantage and getting through this fight unscathed and winning a decision.
Yeah, he looked really, really good. And as we continue on the show, we're going to have more best bets from ESPN Plus, ESPN2, parlays, and underdogs. But, Sean, Ian's right. You still got to be thinking about your seed, about finishes, even though he just picked a decision. Sean, back to you.
Thank you very much, Coach. And that bet makes sense from a points and standings perspective because Gleison Tebow needs the finish. Rory McDonald could get in with a decision victory. But when we were talking to the fighters, Randy, Rory said, yeah, Gleison Tebow is going to come after me aggressive. And when you do that, you open yourself up for someone like the Red King to take advantage.
Absolutely. And Rory will, if Teasdale tries to make this a brawl and gets reckless, he may make mistakes that will provide an opportunity for Rory McDonald to take advantage of that opportunity.
I keep belaboring this point, Kenny, but Gleison Tebow needs a finish. How do you get that against somebody like Rory McDonald?
Well, he's got to back Rory McDonald up. He's got to get on the inside of that long reach of Rory McDonald and land some bombs. And whether he's trying to knock him out on the feet or taking him down, it's going to be about pressure. It's going to be about cutting off the cage repeatedly, and he's got to get it done early. If he can get respect from Rory McDonald with his power, maybe land some takedowns. Don't look for the submission if it's not there. It's going to be difficult against another good grappler like Rory, but land those big shots.
That main event caps off a really great card on ESPN2, and that's the 4 fights you're looking at starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. 2 at light heavyweight, including a returning champion in Emiliano Sordi, and 2 at welterweight. You've got a former Bellator champion in Rory McDonald and our very own returning PFL champion in Ray Cooper III, who, of course, missed weight yesterday, which might have affected these betting odds. Nikolai Alexakhin, a relative newcomer here to the PFL ranks, but somehow finds himself as a favorite against the returning champion. All right, fights to watch. I told you, 4 unbelievable bouts on that ESPN2 card. Which one jumps out to you?
Well, I get excited every time Ray Cooper stomps out into this arena and up into that cage. He brings an amazing ferocity. He's an amazing competitor. It's a shame he's kind of put himself under the gun, reduced to 5 points now, so that puts his playoff standings in jeopardy for sure. He can't win any points here. Now, I don't know about this whole underdog thing, but Alexakhin, this is his 31st fight. That's a ton of experience. He's got 13 knockouts. This guy's a great slugger. He's very, very good in every position. He feels like he's going to put pressure on Ray Cooper, and Cooper's going to try and use his wrestling and take it to the ground. It's going to be an interesting fight.
Kenny Florian, same question for you. It's 4 unbelievable bouts. You can't go wrong. Which one's your favorite?
For me, I'm going with Emiliano Sordi taking on Dan Spawn. And Sean, you know, I don't know who won in 2018, but in 2019, this has to be my favorite 205-pound champion in the PFL ever. I mean, this guy goes out and finishes fights. He had an absolute war. His last time out against Chris Camozzi had to battle back. We found out what kind of championship heart he has, and he's taking on a desperate and dangerous Dan Spawn. This guy loves to keep it on the feet. He's tall for the weight class. He's going to be dangerous, and he's looking for those 6 points. Was it you that won in 2018?
Emiliano Sordi's your favorite 205-pound PFL champ?
The most charismatic, anyway. That's yeah.
All right, well,
how honest?
It's fine. How are we betting the rest of this ESPN 2 fight card? Well, for that, we go to our experts, Jonathan Coachman and Ian Parker.
Boys, relax. Don't fight out there. Now, the thing I love about the PFL is that there are significant, serious ramifications if you don't make weight, but they still allow you to fight. Now, for those of you who are new to MMA betting, kind of minus 200 is our point where we say anything above that, too high to bet straight. Anything below that, we can work with that. When we look, Ian, at these 4 fights on the ESPN 2 card, there's a little bit of everything. I want a Parker's parlay. Give me something I can sink my teeth into.
Let's get to it. We're going to start off with Cesar Ferreira, a.k.a. Mutante. He comes out off a huge knockout in his first fight against Chris Camozzi. I think he does the same thing here. I just see his evolution in his game. He's ready. This weight makes a ton of sense for him. Moving on to Emiliano Sordi. Again, a perfect matchup for him. That fight should stay standing. He showed unbelievable talent in his last fight. I like him to get it done. Ray Cooper as an underdog is going to bring these odds through the roof as a parlay. And then the last but not least, Rory McDonald. I think he gets it done by decision. It doesn't matter for our parlay. We need the win, and that's how we're going to get it through.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how Ray Cooper approaches this in that he still has odds. He still can win us the bet, but he can't win any more points. How is he up here tonight? That's something that I'll be interested in looking at. Still to come, we've got our prop bets, and we have our underdog play of the night. It's going to be a great night, and Sean, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. But for now, let's send it back to you, Cage side.
All right, thanks, Coach. Fellas, last week, Ian Parker hit the parlay, and this week he starts the parlay with that Camozzi versus Cesar Ferreira fight. This is a former training partner of yours, Randy. That's who the Duck likes in this one.
Well, it's tough to argue with that logic. Tough to count out a guy like Camozzi, well-rounded, tons of experience, but he's dealing with a guy who looks great at this weight, at 205. I like him much better up here. Long-rangey guy, uses capoeira in his fighting style, black belt in jiu-jitsu, long levers. We saw that front kick in Nick. Whew, wicked.
It's crazy. If you go back and you watch that fight, Randy told us on the broadcast, you got to watch out for this guy's front kick. 2 seconds later, he lands it. It's the beginning of the end for Nick Roehrig. Chris Camozzi, in his first outing for the PFL, pushed Emiliano Sordi, the returning champ, all the way to the limit. Now, he came away with a loss, but it was far from a bad performance.
Yeah, Camozzi really showed how tough he is, how experienced he is, and how much he's been working on his striking. Now, he's still facing a big-time dilemma in Ferreira because he's so good on the ground and dangerous on the feet. We saw it. Probably the most brutal knockout that we had here in PFL was Ferreira's knockout. But I still think he's got to keep it on the feet. He's got to be the more technical guy out there. He's got to pick his shots and keep moving, and he's got to stop that takedown.
All right, so Coach and Ian told you how you should be betting ESPN 2. What about when we open things up just around the corner, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN+. 6 great fights. And again, these are the finishers at light heavyweight and welterweight. I cannot oversell to you how important Magomed Karamov making his way back into these ranks is. He's a huge favorite at minus 1430. By the way, that line moved since yesterday. Last night he was around, I think, 11-15. He's an even bigger favorite today. And a little feature bout between two grappling specialists. Kenny, I can't imagine which one of these bouts on ESPN Plus you're most looking forward to.
Are you talking about the Magalhães and Shoeface fight? Yes, that's the one. For me, these guys are awesome Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. Even Vinny admitting, saying, hey, this is probably the only guy that I should probably fear on the ground, and we saw that in his first fight. Antonio Carlos Jr. getting the submission with that arm and guillotine, and Vinny has established himself as one of the best submission artists in the world. He's won some of the biggest tournaments, and of course in mixed martial arts, he's a big-time threat, always looking for the finish. This one should be fun. Go to the ground, guys.
Okay, Randy, you're not quite as predictable of a grappling nerd as Kenny Florian, so which one of these plus fights are you most looking for?
I'm excited to see Magomed Kirimov back, our 2018 champ in this weight division. The guy is well-rounded. We saw knockouts from him. We saw submissions from him. He's an amazing fighter. I'm excited. Obviously critical with visa issues that he didn't get in here for his first fight, so he's down 1 point. He's got to go out and push it. He's got to bring the fight and score those extra bonus points, and he's certainly capable of doing that. He definitely got into it with Millender in the weigh-in.
Yeah.
Little verbiage back and forth. I'm not sure if there was a language barrier going on there or not, but maybe it doesn't matter.
Trash talk is a universal language in the sport of mixed martial arts. Interesting, fun little fact, okay? Ray Cooper III and Magomed Karimov, a bit of a rivalry.
Yes.
Both of those guys can head into the playoffs with a maximum of 5 points, but it's going to depend on what happens elsewhere. All right, how are we betting ESPN Plus? The experts tell us. Coach, Ian?
Sean, the one thing you're not going to see of a $1 million winner at the end of this season is straight decisions across the board. You got to have finishes, and these two weight classes are the absolute best in the PFL at getting it done. Let's go ahead and show everybody exactly what I am talking about. Historically speaking, going back to 2018, the light heavyweights, how about finishing every fight at a 73% clip? How about the welterweights? Almost that good, 71%, and there's a big-time drop-off with down to the heavyweights. But as we head into the playoffs after tonight, the bonus points, as Randy said, are going to be so important. So it screams prop bets. And it's time for Parker's Prop Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbooks. Ian, give me what you found and what you like.
Let's start off with Magomed Karimov. I think he gets this done by submission. I don't know what Curtis Millender did to the PFL to get these two matchups back-to-back, but I see it going the same way. Magomed Karimov needs to get a finish, and by submission is the best path to least resistance against a guy in Millender. Moving on to Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface, going against Vinny Magalhaes. You got two elite grapplers. Usually that turns into a strike fest. I think Vinny fades later in the round. I think Carlos Jr. has the better striking and gets it done by TKO and KO. And last but not least, Emiliano Sordi, going to be in a stand-up battle. I'll take that all day with him winning by knockout or TKO at even money.
Now, Ian, certainly we want to win every play. Certainly this is serious because we're betting real money. But it's also an entertainment aspect to it. And there's a lot of people at home that just love to bet on an underdog. They love to say, you know what, I cashed that over the favorite. Last week, Chris Wade, right out of the gate, you hit that. Give me a play this week, an underdog you like.
Let's start off right out the gate again with Sadabusi. I like the range. I like the striking here against another kickboxer. You know, as long as he fights the way he did in the second round of last time's fight and not as hesitant as the first one, I see great value here. So I think because this will be a kickboxing fight, I like him here as our underdog.
Hey, Ian, it's okay. I get excited, too, when I know I'm going to take all these tickets straight to the pay window. So we've given you best bets, we've given you parlays, we've given you prop bets, and we've given you an underdog. Our job is done, but we'll be here all night just in case you need us. Sean, back to you, cage side.
That's right. Coach and Ian will be weighing in throughout the broadcast on Plus and on ESPN2 tonight with more advice, more great picks to make sure you do take your tickets to the cash window. And you saw the underdog pick there, Sadabusi over Alexei Kunchenko. Now, Kunchenko is a tough guy to get a win over. Relative unknown, newcomer to the PFL. But, Randy, this guy's a finisher in his own right.
Absolutely. This guy screamed out the 20 straight victories in his professional career. He was the M1 Global welterweight champion. He walked away from that title to transfer over to the UFC. And now, guess what? He's right here at the PFL. I can't wait to see this guy. He's got 13 finishes to a career. 11 of those are knockouts. This is going to be a slugfest.
But here's the thing. I don't hate the underdog pick in Sadabusi because he came to the PFL a couple of seasons back as really a converted kickboxer. Now he's been training with great camps, rounding out his skill set. He's a complete mixed martial artist.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he didn't love the way that fight ended. He didn't love the way it started either. He said he got off to way too slow of a start. He said that's not going to happen this time out. He wants to start off hot, and he's going to need to against Konchenko. But he's the longer guy. He's obviously going to be taller. He's going to try to use that reach against the Russian fighter. But as you mentioned, he's been working hard on his grappling as well. So don't be surprised if you see some offensive wrestling on the part of the Swede.
And for my money, the most important thing to remember about that fight is Sadabusi desperately needs points to make it into the playoffs. Alexei Konchenko has one fight, one chance to earn points. They'll be looking for a finish. If you want some free action on this fight card, listen up. Tonight only, MMA fans can play in a free PFL pool on DraftKings for a shot at $5,000 in prizes. Just download the DraftKings app, sign up with promo code PFL, and submit your picks to compete for your share of $5 grand. Another look at our ESPN Plus fight card. This starts in just a few minutes, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus. There's one more look at the odds. Magamillion's coming back as a heavy favorite. So is the Brazilian Samurai Joao Zeferino, and Shoeface finds himself a favorite over his fellow grappling ape. ESPN2, 4 stacked fights. You've got title contenders in every spot on this fight card. One more look at the odds. Rory McDonald is a favorite. The returning champ Emiliano Sordi is. Randy's former training partner Cesar Mutanche Ferreira is as well. And somehow Nikolai Alexakhin is a favorite over a former PFL champion. ESPN Plus beginning at 5:30. ESPN2 beginning at 9. Randy Couture, Sean O'Connell, Kenny Floyd, we will all be there. We want to see you there too. The PFL push to the playoffs.